Welcome back to Scarlet and Maize. I'm Adam.
I'm Zach.
What's up? We're going to start off again with the closer of the two games.
Yeah.
Ohio State 21, Northwestern 7.
Yeah. Well, so the weather was wild in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It was a unique weather situation. There were wind gusts recorded up to 80 miles per hour in the area. Sustained winds over 30 miles per hour. I don't really have much to say about this game. Do I think the weather impacted the game? Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Before the game in the warm-ups, there was a clip of Ohio State attempting a field goal, and it legit looked like the football hit a wall in midair, and it just dropped straight down. And I was like, wow. So yeah, it's tough to pass in that kind of condition, especially when you're a pass-first offense like Ohio State. It's going to be tough to get your offense rolling. But with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, Travion was out for this game, so he was the lead back and had most of the carries. He had 12 carries for only 21 yards, but he finished the game with 111, so they figured it out after there, getting the quarterback run involved, which we hadn't seen all year. I mean,
we hadn't seen in his career, really, right?
Well, so there was a game when he was still the backup, when he came in and ran a read option and ran for like a 50-yard touchdown. It was actually his first career touchdown, I believe. But coming into that game this season, he had -3 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, it helped him. Getting him going helped the run game get going, and I'll be interesting to see if that's something they continue to use or if it's just something they'll use to get the run game going again. But I think either way, it is something that is that's on film now, and other teams will have to look for it coming into the games now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, here's the thing. Northwestern quarterback Brendan Sullivan had 2 more yards on 12 fewer attempts, Zach.
yeah, okay.
C.J. Stroud completed 38% of his passes, but Sullivan completed 71%.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say Sullivan is better than Stroud. I haven't been drinking. But I was wondering if you can admit that maybe C.J. Stroud just isn't good if the weather is suboptimal at all.
Yeah, so that's like a narrative that Michigan loves to push because of one little thing said in the post-game press conference. Even in the Michigan game, I think last year C.J. Stroud played a fine game.
Yeah, he got a lot of empty yards. Yeah,
he threw for 394 yards and he had a good completion percentage. Threw for 2 touchdowns.
It's not a lot. I was being kind of facetious. When I said
2 touchdowns from a quarterback is fine. It should be plenty.
You like Ohio State?
Yeah.
And 2 touchdowns is okay?
I think it's fine.
All right.
Like, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily on his inability to throw the ball on the weather of why Ohio State couldn't finish drives against Michigan.
He had a bummy time.
Goodness gracious.
But to me, that's not even the alarming thing about what happened in this game, Zach. To me, the fact that Northwestern's offense was more predictable than Ohio State's, they had way fewer passes, yet Evan Hull basically kept pace with Mayan Williams.
Yeah.
We've seen it enough times where Ohio State looks vulnerable against a lesser team, and then they come out and that weakness is not there in the game and they destroy Michigan. Yeah. So I'm not saying that this is something that's going to bite them in the game or that they're soft or weak in the trenches, whatever, but I do think it's something to keep an eye on.
I do think that the total yards, at least, was a little bit skewed because of the fact that Ohio State's defense came out real sluggish. They were not playing well at all to start the game, and that included a very long touchdown drive by Northwestern. That was a huge chunk of those total yards that they had, and there were a few other drives where they got some decent yards in there where Ohio State really's defense had not shown up yet, where they got a lot of yards there. But after their first touchdown and after the first quarter, really, Northwestern didn't really get a lot of yards, didn't score any touchdowns, didn't score any points after that, so I think once Ohio State's defense kind of woke up a little bit, they got it together.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm hoping for weather to be at least minimally suboptimal for the game so that Stroud looks like a poor man's Peyton Thorne again, like he did on Saturday.
I think it's funny because people, like Michigan fans seem to be pushing the narrative like Ohio State, they're all worried about the weather. They keep checking the weather for the game, but it really seems like it's Michigan fans that want the weather to be bad.
Maybe we're looking out for you.
Because honestly, even if the weather was this crazy for the game, sure, I'd be less confident than I would be if the weather was completely normal. But I still would feel good about Ohio State's chances in that game.
Okay.
A fun stat. Mm-hmm. Michigan despite Ohio State struggling the last 3 games against Iowa, Penn State, and Northwestern in the run game, they are only averaging 0.2 less of a yard per carry than Michigan.
So worse?
Barely worse. Barely worse than Ohio State's pass first offense.
Here's a good stat for you. Northwestern outgained Ohio State in this game.
Okay.
It was only by 2 yards, but, like, it's Northwestern.
Yeah.
They both played in the same weather. Whatever.
But Ohio State lost in the trenches and all that, but they still won by 14.
14
with 0
against
turnovers,
that team.
With 0 turnovers from either team in the game.
I saw
you lost in the trenches, and Northwestern had more total yards, but Ohio State won by 14. So where did they really lose?
I saw they had a moral loss. I saw a fact that Northwestern has not won in this country since October of last year.
Yeah, and they never had the lead after the first quarter. After the second quarter.
Shouldn't have ever. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look, I promised I was going to rein in my tweets of the week, but there's a couple that I wanted to share here, so they don't count.
Okay.
The first is from @InternetRaj. It says, Ohio State spent the entire offseason talking about how they've toughened up into a hardened callus of toughness after getting spanked by Michigan, and now it turns out their arch nemesis is a stiff breeze.
Stiff breeze.
The second one is from Scott Bell. I can't believe there's a special kind of win in Evanston that causes Ohio State to lose in the trenches.
Yeah, Ohio State lost in the trenches.
Look, if I would have told you before the game that Northwestern is going to outgain Ohio State will still win by 14, you would not be excited. You're not.
If you would have told me before the wasn't.
You can't be heartened by this win.
In what way am I supposed to be excited for a game against Northwestern? Oh, they're going to win by 70. Am I excited for that?
Look, if you're not more excited about a 70-point win than you are about a 14-point win against this high school team, I don't know what to tell you.
So what's the excitement supposed to be? Because if Ohio State
My point is that I don't know that there should be excitement about this past game.
I don't think there should be excitement. I'm not saying that, but I don't think there's anything to really take away from this game. Like, Northwestern was able to stack the box. Ohio State's a pass-first offense. When you can't get the pass game going, it's going to be tough to get the run game going. I do think that there was some struggles in the run game, partly because of play calling at times, and because guys weren't winning in the trenches at times, but they did win in the trenches at times too because they won the game. They scored touchdowns. Northwestern scored 1 touchdown. Ohio State scored 3 touchdowns. Ohio State won in the trenches.
My point is that it should have been 100% of the time against this team. Northwestern is so bad. Yep. Let's move on. It's fine.
But I do think these are young kids. They're young. We're both older than almost every person playing in college football. I'm not older than Hendon Hooker or Stetson Bennett, but probably every Ohio State starter I'm older than. And they're not necessarily going to come in with the right mindset every game like an NFL player maybe would. And I'm not going to take away a struggle in the first half and a windstorm where it's a team like Northwestern where you're not expecting to have to play at your best and win in the trenches 100% of the time because you think, oh, we can just dish it out to Marvin Harrison Jr. right quick, or we can just dish it out to Emeka Egbuka or anybody else,
Yeah.
So
not every team is good at running the ball. I get that. Michigan 52, exactly Rutgers 17.
Yeah.
So honestly, at halftime, I thought there might be more to say here, but it was more that I was pissed because I was getting ready to talk so much about Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then at halftime, I couldn't.
As an Ohio State fan, at that time, after hearing the crap from Alabama fans on Twitter, hearing the crap from Clemson fans on Twitter, hearing the crap from Michigan fans on Twitter about how much Ohio State struggled, the halftime score of that game, of then Clemson and Alabama losing, was glorious. It was a great way to finish the day, and yeah.
Yeah,
but,
whatever.
Yeah.
Michigan outscored Rutgers 28-0 in the third quarter, and there's 38-0 for the game.
No.
But they've now outscored all opponents 84-6 in the third quarter this season.
Impressive.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Blake Corum got his 15th rushing touchdown in this game, the fastest to get to 15 since Anthony Thomas in the year 2000. Blake Corum for Heisman.
Doubt it.
We'll see. He's going to be in New York, Michigan State fans.
He barely has more rushing touchdowns than Mayan Williams, and Mayan Williams has missed multiple games and struggled against Northwestern. That's
great. Blake Corum didn't struggle against anybody, so that's fun. I'm developing a theory, though, for real. that J.J. McCarthy just starts slow and then gets more accurate as the game goes on. But I did think that there were a ton of drops in this game for some reason. There was a rumor that a lot of guys were sick. Blake Corum was puking all over the field and sideline. He would come off the field for long stretches. I thought a few guys looked out of it, including possibly JJ. He's always like he tries to be like Zen, but he seemed lifeless a little bit.
I didn't realize. I know he does that like meditation thing right by on the goal, leaning against the goalpost or whatever. I didn't realize he does that barefoot.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Well, at least I saw a picture of it from last week and it was barefoot, and I was like, gross.
He's a weird guy.
Makes sense that he plays for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. I mean, Jim Harbaugh said he reminds him of a young Jimmy Harbaugh. Luke Schoonmaker had a few of these drops, and he's normally very sure-handed.
So you're saying
we'll see.
So you're saying you shouldn't expect somebody to play at 100% when they're ill.
Here's the deal. Did Ohio State have any drops on the game?
Yeah.
In the game last year, they had some drops?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think they did.
They had
you've talked about how many yards they had, how well their offense did.
No, I legit
and then to reverse it and go, but they didn't play as well as they could have because they just got shut. It was bend and don't break, and it worked.
Sure.
Ohio State gained a lot of yards and not touchdowns.
I think it was more like 27 points should be plenty enough points to win the game. Like, is that out of character for Ohio State? Yeah, but I don't think you are going to say, oh, Ohio State, because they kicked so many field goals, that's why they lost. They lost.
I mean, it is.
No, the reason they lost is because they couldn't stop Hassan Haskins.
But if the Ohio State offense actually
Michigan
scored
points
every
drive in the second half.
Yeah,
I think the defense is the issue there, not the offense.
That's going to make a great clip.
Yeah?
Just you saying Michigan scored on every drive.
I will say this about the flu, about being sick in general. If, I might be a little bit more of a wuss than a Division I athlete, but if I have the flu and it's freezing cold out, I don't even feel like moving, let alone tackling Hassan Haskins.
I mean, your immune system is probably not quite as good as these peak athletes, but whatever. And I will say this, too. Ohio State...
What does my immune system have to do with them being sick or not?
Oh, they're just healthier people than you and I, that's all.
But they were sick, so...
I think them sick is better than me healthy, is all I'm saying.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I will say this, too, let's say, hypothetically, Ohio State had an illness going on. Great.
Yeah.
They looked like they didn't, to me. They looked good, for the most part, in the game. They were gaining yards. They were just getting stopped. Where in this game, they would show faces, and it was like... I mean, Blake Corum threw up 18 times.
That's ridiculous.
It was disgusting. But, whatever. Regardless of the drops... We are running out of time to see the supposed air raid capabilities that Michigan supposedly said that they have.
McCarthy's completion percentage really wasn't that much better than C.J. Stroud's.
No, it wasn't
this week. What was? Do you have that on hand? What his stats were?
He had a cold, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Michigan. Regardless, Michigan won. It ended up being in dominant fashion. Whatever. It was only close because of some weird things in the first half, like that block punt. I was never really worried they were going to lose the game. I thought it was a matter of time.
I forgot about the block punt, and I saw on Twitter that Schiano stole from Olave's block punt against Michigan. Huh. It was the same thing where the snapper usually snaps the ball and just runs.
Yeah.
It was Olave when they did it. Started on the edge, then moved to the middle and sprinted up the middle to block it, and that's exactly what Rutgers did in that game.
Interesting.
So that's a problem that Jim Harbaugh.
Right when they snapped it, I was like, "Is there a flag or something?" Did a whistle blow? Immediately, I was like, "No."
Yeah.
It was no good. So I've said it off air, but I don't think I've said it on the show. But this season really reminds me of 2015-2016 Michigan. So 2015.
I haven't heard you say that off air.
I've said it. 2015 was Harbaugh's first year. They won a ton of close games, including a hilarious goal line stand against Minnesota, where Tracy Claeys was the acting head coach. They could have run multiple plays, but they let the clock run down because he wanted one final play to beat Michigan, and then they got stopped at the goal line. Ridiculous. But Michigan finished the year in 2015 with 10 wins after the bowl game. Then in 2016, Michigan blew out a ton of teams, except obviously Iowa and Ohio State. Yep. And if you ask Michigan State, they were defeated with dignity. But last year, Michigan pulled out close games against Rutgers, Nebraska, and Penn State. I'll get into it a little bit more with my tweet of the week, but that has not been the case this year, as Michigan has won easily for the most part, even in games where they quote-unquote struggled.
Yeah. It was a single-digit win against Maryland.
They did. Maryland scored with not enough time to make it even a real threat. But
well, I mean, they were in it most of the game, and sure, they went down 14 in the fourth quarter.
But losing by multiple scores, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Scarlett and May's pick standings.
Northwestern, Ohio State, Northwestern was in it. Lost by multiple scores.
Look, Northwestern shouldn't have been in it after the first 5 minutes, even with the wind.
But Maryland should have been.
Yeah, Maryland's got Talia, bro.
Oh, brother.
Scarlett and May's pick standings. It was late. I went 6-3 this week because of the bonus point.
So you're saying Michigan pulled away because Talia got hurt?
No, the backup scored. That was frustrating. I'm 74-23 overall. You went 5-2. You're 74-19 overall. Yeah. These bonus points are skewing the numbers. If you're confused why, you gained half a percentage point in the lead. I'm at 76%. You're 79.5%. Yeah. Just a reminder: we don't go by total wins. We go by percentage. We're tied with wins. You're winning percentage right now. Yeah. Big Ten takeaways. Illinois outgained Michigan State 441 to 294 and still lost, despite Mel Tucker trying his absolute hardest to lose that game. Up 8 with 1:10 left. 3rd and goal from the 9. Mel Tucker took an intentional delay of game, then called a timeout for some reason. The delay of game backed him up to the 14. Then he called a pass, which was broken up, incomplete, stopping the clock with 1:06 left when it could have kept running because Illinois was out of timeouts. Then they missed the field goal that would have put the game out of reach. Yeah. And Illinois used the minute that shouldn't have been there to get all the way down to the Michigan State 27 before running out of time. Unreal. Because Illinois lost to Michigan State, if Illinois loses again to Purdue on Saturday, the winner of Iowa-Wisconsin becomes the front runner for the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
Brian Ferentz maybe gets a lifetime contract for Iowa as the offensive coordinator if they pull that off.
Yeah.
Just disgusting. The Big Ten West is awful. What do you got?
Well, it's just funny that this is just made me think of Iowa. They're running back one offensive player of the week in the Big Ten in a week that Michigan played Rutgers and Ohio State played Northwestern, 2 of the worst teams in the Big Ten. An Iowa player win offensive player of the week. It's hilarious. So yeah, I was like, what the crap, Illinois. Purdue now has a chance to make it most likely a 4-way tie for the first into West Division, with the leader coming from the winner of the Wisconsin-Iowa game. Assuming Minnesota beats Northwestern, it would be a 4-way tie between Illinois, Purdue, the winner of the Wisconsin-Iowa game, and Minnesota. But just to have a tiebreaker for whoever gets smoked by Ohio State.
Or Michigan, yeah. The Big Ten West is the only Power 5 division where the best team has at least 2 losses.
Wow.
Gross. From that to the rapid-fire turd pile picks.
If you would have told me that week 1, I would have believed you.
Yeah. It's so gross. Purdue at Illinois. I actually got the Boilermakers here.
I think Illinois is going to bounce back. I think the Drake album curse dropping. Michigan State somehow wins every game when Drake drops an album. It was supposed to drop. Him and 2021 Savage album was supposed to drop before the Michigan State game. It got delayed a week.
Maybe that's why they were so mad in the tunnel.
Yeah, probably. So I think that curse got to them. I think they bounce back this week.
Yeah. Zach, did you know before today that the situation was once an honorary captain at a Michigan State football game?
I did not. Fun
fact. True. There's a picture of him with Tom Izzo on the field.
Did you know that I met Mike the Situation once?
Why?
So it's actually kind of a long story.
Another time. Another time then. Anyway, so this is Rutgers where...
It's not that long of a story.
I don't care.
Well, so he was on this TV show, and my sister did like the hair and makeup for it, and yeah. Yeah. And crazy. So I got to meet Mike the Situation in 8th grade.
Yeah, that was a long story.
Yeah, I don't know if it was smart for my parents to have their 8th grade son around Mike the Situation, but...
Yeah. So the Situation was from New Jersey, but he's an honorary captain at Michigan State. So this is the Axe Body Spray presents the Situation Bowl. The loser just gets sprayed in the eyes with Axe body spray. Rutgers at
Axe
Michigan
body
State.
spray?
Axe.
Oh.
Same thing. Rutgers at Michigan State. I got Michigan State, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've got Michigan State as well.
Yeah. Rutgers, get ready to get sprayed in the eyes. Maryland at Penn State. I got Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State.
Wisconsin at Iowa. I got Wisconsin.
I got Iowa.
Man, I
What?
feel like every time I pick against Iowa, I lose, but
Yeah.
and then I hear from some friends in Iowa about it. But
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean, it's hard to win at Kinnick, and with the interim head coach,
I should have checked the game time. Is this a night game? I think it's 3:30.
I have no idea.
Northwestern at Minnesota. No one can pick Northwestern.
Right.
But the real question is, does Minnesota blow them out worse than Ohio State did?
Probably.
On to the varsity games.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Indiana at Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 41, but should we flip those numbers maybe
make it 14.
if there's a slight breeze? Ohio State's going to kill them.
Yeah, did you check the weather? Because I did.
I actually did, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day, so Ohio State will roll. Nebraska at Michigan.
I didn't even say my pick.
Who you got?
I got Ohio State. Jeez.
Dang it. I thought I was going to make up another point there. Nebraska might be down to their backup quarterback. They're going to decide today, which is Tuesday. But Michigan's favored by 29. I don't think it'll be
Why are they deciding
even that
today?
close. They said if he doesn't practice, then he's out.
Can he practice tomorrow?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the interim head coach.
Okay. You're going to let me pick?
Michigan.
I got Michigan.
By a lot. Okay. Game of the week. We are recording right before the new
College football playoff poll.
the poll comes out. So TCU at the time of recording is 7th. They'll probably be 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
At Texas. Texas is favored by 7.
Yeah.
I got Texas by 4 because your boy Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I think Quinn has played well this season, and I really like Bijan Robinson. Both guys that got away from Ohio State. I like Texas by 7 in this one.
All right. Hope it's closer. On to basketball for a little bit. Just for a little bit because they started, but only technically. So Michigan tipped off against Purdue Fort Wayne on Monday and won 75-56. I was actually able to go to this game. The student section held up a sign at one point that said "Fart Wayne," and they held it up. And I thought it was hilarious. Hunter Dickinson had 22 and 12, but man, Jet Howard, he had 30 in the exhibition. What?
Against Purdue, they must have had a pretty good big guy, huh?
Purdue Fort Wayne?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Purdue Fort Wayne, Purdue, what's the difference? They probably had a decent big guy, right?
They struggled. But really, it was Jet Howard. He had 30 in the exhibition with 6 threes on 8 attempts.
Yeah.
Then put up 21 on Monday, but he also had 5 assists. So he essentially has been the shooter that a lot of Michigan fans were hoping Caleb Houston would be, but except he's way better playmaking also.
Yeah.
So hopefully he keeps it up, but his dad makes him come back to school next year at least. Also, Duke transfer Joey Baker is a great piece to have coming off the bench as just a shooter. It was crazy to see the spacing around Hunter Dickinson when there were actual threats to shoot threes around him. Yeah. Offensively, I think this team is going to be pretty crazy at times.
Yeah.
Defensively, I'm worried that they're going to be a little too much like Iowa. They might get into some shootouts. Iowa basketball, which hilariously is the exact opposite.
Yeah, if
of
Iowa football had Iowa basketball as offense.
Fran McCaffrey for offensive coordinator.
There you go.
Michigan plays Amani Bates in Eastern Michigan on Friday, I think, at Little Caesars Arena.
Hopefully he doesn't bring any guns.
And then Pitt next Wednesday. So it gets serious-ish pretty quick for a minute.
Yeah.
They have a couple out-of-town things too, but they do play a few more crappy teams. But Ohio State hosted Robert Morris on Monday, and then they host Charleston Southern on Thursday, so we have a little more time with Ohio State basketball.
Yeah.
But Zach, what are you looking to learn out of Thursday's game?
So I want to backtrack a little bit. So in the preseason, before the season started, they had a little it's just I think a hype up thing for Ohio State, like a blacktop outside thing where fans could come and watch. And they had a 3-point contest there, and Zed Key, big guy who in his career has never attempted a 3-point attempt coming into the season, was participating in the 3-point contest, and I was like, well, that's funny. Maybe he's going to shoot threes this year. I watched him in the 3-point contest, and I was like, nope, he's not shooting threes this year. But guess what the first basket of Ohio State's season was this year? a three-pointer from Zed Key, and he hit another one too, and he missed a third one, but he is a 66% career three-point percentage shooter now, and I think that's huge for the Buckeyes going into the season, being able to spread the floor out. If
he can maintain that percentage,
yeah,
they're going to win the whole thing.
even at half that percentage, 33%, I would take that all day from Zed Key. I do think what I'm looking forward to most Thursday is, so in this game on Monday, Eugene Brown was out. He's one of the very few players that played last year that are back, including Justice Suing, who didn't really play last year. I mean, he played in I think 1 or 2 games. But so it's a lot of new guys, a lot of guys that haven't played much together, and I'm looking forward to them continue to play together. And they played well. They shot the ball really well overall from 3, not even just Zed Key. They shot over 50% of the game, so it'll be interesting to see if that's something that they can sustain, if that's something that they're going to live and die by, or because they won by a lot and they shot the ball well from 3, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I loved seeing Tanner Holden coming off the bench, and he was 5 for 5 in the game and played really well. And likely the guard from Oklahoma State, the transfer, he really filled up the stat sheet well, having a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds, and a decent amount of points. But yeah, Justice Suing had 20 points in this game. It's good. It looked like he was his old self in this game, which you wouldn't necessarily expect in first game back from a season-long injury.
Yeah. But, things no one is talking about.
Yeah, so I actually have 2, so I'll go first, and you go one. Yeah. So Nick Saban lost Alabama the game. When they scored a touchdown to take a lead in the fourth quarter, before the extra point, they were up 21-17. Saban decided to go for 2, where if they would have got it, they would be up 6. And if they would just kick the extra point, they'd be up 5. Either way, if LSU scores a touchdown, all Alabama would need is a field goal. But instead of just kicking the extra point, they went for 2 and did not get it, so then that made their field goal at the end of the game a game-tying field goal opposed to a game-winning field goal, and Nick Saban lost them the game.
Insane.
Yeah.
My thing no one is talking about. Tom Izzo said this about a group of Michigan State football players jumping 2 solo Michigan players. If it starts good, it wouldn't have ended bad. That's my stick-up for Mel in our program. I get tired of Michigan State always looking like the bad guy. There's been other bad guys. Okay, those other bad guys must include that list of players that I mentioned last episode, because surely he's not blaming Jamon Green for wanting to see his truck driver dad before he had to get back on the road to put food on the table, right? Right? It's definitely not in the Michigan State culture to do some heinous garbage and then victim blame, right? I don't know. You can watch the last episode if you need the long, sad list of players from Michigan State accused of physical and or sexual assault since 2010.
And you left some out.
And I did, Miles Bridges. If you stick up for your guys literally all of the time, sometimes you're going to be on the wrong side. Bumblebee tuna, Tom. That's a bad look.
Bumblebee tuna. I've never heard that
from
before.
Ace Ventura?
I don't know. I must have heard
YouTube
that before because I've seen Ace Ventura. It's just been a while. I should watch it again.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. Oh, yeah, so my other one is in every single top 15 matchup this season, the home team has won except for one. Do you know who that was?
Penn State.
It was Ohio State at Penn State. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ohio State's the one team in the entire country that has a road win against a top 15 team. Nobody's really talking about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tweet of the week.
Yeah, so this is from at Mr. Ohio. Since 1952, Ohio State is 58-2-2 against Indiana. Ohio State is currently on a 27-game win streak against the Hoosiers. That's just crazy. 62 attempts, they've won twice.
Yeah, that's disgusting to the point where Tom Izzo would probably publicly defend it.
Yeah.
But whatever. My tweet of the week is from Drew Hallett, writer from the Wolverine Mag. Mm-hmm. Michigan is the only team in the country that has not been tied or trailed in the fourth quarter of a game this season. Opponents have had the ball for only 2 total drives, 5 total plays, with a chance to tie or take the lead against Michigan in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Man, it's pretty impressive.
It's going to be sad when they are trailing by 30 against Ohio State.
Precious Zach with your little dreams. With that, we'll see you next week. But until then, go blue.
Go Buckeyes.